Okay, this is the moment that we've all been waiting for. I mean, I'm biased, but I think this is what Disrupt is all about. So over the past 2 days, 20 of the world's most promising startups have been pitching right here on the Disrupt stage. They've shown off their products with live demos, faced tough questions from top investors, and now only the best remain. So welcome to the finals of the startup battlefield. Yeah, that's right. Today, these finalists will be competing for $100,000 equity-free and the title of TechCrunch Disrupt 2025 Startup Battlefield Champion. Once again, they'll be pitching and demoing for 6 minutes, and then our judges will get to dig a little deeper with 8-minute Q&As. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the pitches you're about to see are the culmination of months of hard work and fierce competition. Of course, they've probably been working on these companies for even longer. So to help us decide, make the right decision, and see who takes home the Startup Battlefield Cup, we've assembled an all-star panel of judges. I'm going to have those judges come out as I introduce them. First up, we have Kevin Rose, a partner at True Ventures and the founding CEO of the newly rebooted social platform Dig, where he now serves as board chair, investor, and key advisor. Kevin also hosts The Kevin Rose Show and co-hosts The Random Show with Tim Ferriss. Next, we have Aileen Lee, the founder of Cowboy Ventures, a leading seed stage-focused venture firm investing in enterprise and consumer software, including Aileen was a partner at Kleiner Perkins for over a decade, founding CEO of digital media company RMG Networks, and worked at Gap in operating roles. Next, we have Marlon Nichols, co-founder and managing general partner at Mac Venture Capital. Under his leadership, Mac has grown into one of North America's largest seed stage venture firms. Next, we have Kevin Hartz, co-founder and general partner at A-Star, an early stage venture capital firm. He co-founded Eventbrite, a publicly traded company, and served as the CEO for the first 11 years. Last but not least, we have Kirsten Green, the founder and managing partner of Forerunner, the consumer-driven venture capital firm partnering with ambitious founders and companies redefining industries. Combining an unconventional blend of professional experiences and acquired investment expertise, Kirsten launched Forerunner in 2012. So, welcome all of our judges. Now we are going to bring out our very first Startup Battlefield finalist. That finalist is Charter Space. Presenting for Charter Space is founder and CEO Yuk-Chi Chan.
Hi, I'm Yuk-Chi, founder and CEO of Charter Space. Space has a money problem. Today, fewer than 300 of the over 14,000 satellites in orbit are insured, leaving over $150 billion of assets completely exposed. By 2030, that risk will triple. Now, without insurance, there is no credit. Without credit, there is no capital. And without capital, the space economy stalls. This isn't the first time humanity has faced this problem. Before we had rockets, we had sails. In the late 1600s, exploration was a gamble. Each voyage risked everything a captain or an investor owned. Then a new kind of explorer emerged. In a little coffee house in London, ship captains and merchants traded stories of distant horizons and found the courage to fund the unknown. What began as risk became opportunity, and then a market, and eventually Lloyd's of London, the foundation of modern insurance that transformed exploration from a personal gamble into a global economy that carried humanity across and beyond the seas. Charter is building that infrastructure for space. We are the first space fintech company. Our platform bridges engineering, insurance, and finance by capturing real-time engineering data of spacecraft as they're being built, and transforms that data into a living picture of spacecraft risk. We help engineers reduce uncertainty. Investors We give investors security when backing the next generation of explorers, and we help insurers price coverage with confidence. Now, here to help me demonstrate what Charter actually looks like is this satellite, built by our friends at the University of Washington's Husky Satellite Lab. They're building more satellites just like this one on Charter right now to be launched into orbit over the next few years. Over to the demo, please. Today, we're going to use our software to take a look inside. Now, if you're building a satellite, this is what you'll see when you first log in. A complete snapshot of your mission. Every subsystem, every test, every change made by every engineer. This is your entire program at a single glance, all updating in real time as your team builds. With the data we capture across our verticalized feature set, our AI-powered satellite health check analyzes and estimates risk before it ever becomes a problem. We highlight components that need attention, flag potential risks, and give engineers the insight to strengthen their designs long before launch. Now, let's switch perspectives. This is what this same satellite looks like to an insurance underwriter about to bet millions of dollars on its success. Same data, different lens. With Charter, underwriters can watch missions unfold live, track progress as risks are retired, and give continuous feedback. And with each fix and each improvement, this builds something bigger than just a satellite. It builds trust. And that's what Charter actually does. We build trust, not just in machines, but in engineers, in explorers, in the dreamers who dare to reach for the stars. Back to the slides, please. We're already partnered with the US government, NASA Jet Propulsion Lab, and the 6 largest insurance companies in the space market. Commercial companies and universities are already building over 24 satellites on our software, with over 100 more waiting to join. Our team has lived this journey. We have been investors, engineers, and program managers. We come from NASA, the US Air Force, and Maxar. I started my career as an engineer in the Singapore Army, where I served with my co-founder Yukun. And I was an operator in the industry for years as both a space lawyer and a satellite mission manager. We're already backed by top fintech and space VCs, and today, we're taking the next step to lead the charge for space insurance. Charter is proud to announce that we have acquired a YC-backed insurtech and licensed insurance brokerage. Bringing brokerage in-house lets us use our data to bind policies with our insurance partners directly, not just for your space assets, but for every insurance need your space company has. We're bridging the full spectrum from data to coverage and delivering a seamless, high-touch experience. Our first 4 customers are already on their way to more comprehensive and accurate coverage. Today, we start with insurance, but we're going so much further than that. To build credit, structured debt, and the financial infrastructure to scale space, we need what every frontier relies on: trust. Charter is building that trust, and with that, we can build the banks, the lenders, and the long-term capital to fund the future. That future starts with data. That future starts with insurance. That future starts with Charter. Thank you.
Judges, who has questions?
Yeah, I can start. So it feels like this is, in some sense, a kind of like a GitHub in a way, in that you check in, you get to see who's touching the actual hardware themselves and checking in what they're doing to the specific hardware. Do you see this as something where, because you have that complete point of contact, you're able to de-risk it because you see every single thing that has actually touched the actual physical hardware? How do you think about this real-time data that you talk about, and then also how do you apply AI to that?
That's a great question. So I'm going to break it up into 2 parts. So in terms of the real-time data aspect, we aren't really providing the insight ourselves. We actually give the power back to the teams to monitor their own inputs. And in terms of the pipeline between underwriters and teams, these underwriters have They've insured assets for 30, 40 years, and so they have seen a wide breadth of different types of spacecraft. And so, in terms of de-risking, that's exactly the sort of input that these folks would want, both from their own internal teams as well as the best risk analysts on the planet. In terms of how we use AI, actually, we use a variety of different AI techniques, including NLP and RAG, to actually structure and make sense of a lot of the inputs that are provided to us and translate them to our ontological data model so that the insurers can actually grasp and streamline their analysis a lot faster.
Can I double click on that a little bit? I actually have a daughter who's studying engineering, and she's tried to use AI to kind of check some of her work. And where the models are right now, they're kind of notoriously bad at math, and sometimes they make up formulas. So like when I saw the risk scores, like how do you troubleshoot your AI to make sure that it's actually not making up formulas and that it's getting all the numbers right? Like what goes into assessing the risk from a real risk perspective?
I'm glad you asked. So I'd like to take a step back. The AI actually doesn't do the risk analysis itself. What it does is it structures unstructured data and provides that into a format that our data model can ingest. A data model in the sort of classical CS sense of a structured, contextually aware database. In terms of how we prevent hallucinations.
Wait, can you go back to the risk score? So
yeah.
The risk, I assume, is like, what's the risk that this part is going to fail or that this rocket's not going to launch? So you're saying it's, what is the risk score?
Yes. So the risk score is actually, we spent the last 18 months developing it by essentially understanding and ingesting the insight from these underwriters across their 30, 40 years worth of experience. So really, they've told us how they assess, and we streamline that massively. So we bake all of that in. It's not exactly an expert system in the AI sense, but it's a system for experts.
So it's not engineering risk, it's how an insurer would think about how risky this product is.
Those two are actually coterminous. Most underwriters in the space industry are engineers themselves, so the way that they look at it is engineering risk mitigation. It's really two sides of the same coin. They're looking at likelihood of the spacecraft failing from a financial perspective, but that's the exact sort of analysis that you'd have to do internally because the incentives are very closely aligned. Nobody wants a satellite to fail.
I wanted to quickly talk about or click into the real-time aspect of this. It feels like when underwriting this as an insurer, like what matters is the final product, and you want to underwrite the final product. And you're going to get like a bill of goods or whatever, and you'll see what's inside it. So why is it necessary for me to see real-time, how this thing is being built?
I'm glad you asked. So underwriters enjoy getting involved because that gives them greater confidence and, as I touched on a lot in my presentation, trust in the team's building. A lot of these spacecraft, especially with the smaller companies, these are effectively custom and novel spacecraft that are being built for the first time. Even if they're using commercially available off-the-shelf components, they're configured in brand new ways, and so that introduces a lot of risk at the interface level. And so underwriters want to see the evolution of how a satellite has been built. What were the design considerations? How do they test things? If they've developed novel components, how do they actually go about resolving anomalies when they occur during testing? Because anomalies always occur during testing. And so really, it's part of building a relationship. This is what the underwriters currently do. They spend anywhere between 6 months to 5 years working with teams ahead of a mission to actually underwrite. We don't really want to shortcut that, but we do want to streamline it as much as possible. And by making the data available and providing a layer of verification, we can help inspire more trust.
So are they underwriting the mission or the product?
Well, the mission is the product. The satellite is meant to go up and do certain things. You can't deliver the end product, which is data, communications, what have you, without the mission succeeding. Now, in terms of what's being actually insured for, generally it would be the asset value of the spacecraft plus whatever it takes to, it's the principle of indemnification, what it would take to restore the company to where it used to be. But in certain instances, we've noted that it's actually possible to insure projected revenue.
Can I do one more?
Please.
Okay. So the product, it feels like embedded finance to me in some ways, right? And when I think about embedded finance, at least in today's world, it's understanding real-time transactions so you know exactly what's going on at every moment so that you can make a quick decision. I'll give you what you said about understanding step by step while you're building the product, but I don't know. It seems to me that like what would really matter is what starts happening when you start to launch and being able to track what's happening at that point in time. Any plans to do anything around that?
Yes, so we would love to expand further down the, or later in the mission timeline to actually start taking in and integrating telemetry data and other types of on-orbit health parameters. The reason why we're emphasizing so much on the pre-launch phase and the engineering and manufacturing phase is because, one, that's where the underwriters currently focus on, and second, that actually correlates to historical loss rates and how why spacecraft fail, rather. They generally fail due to intrinsic system failures, mechanical faults, electrical faults, things that could have been caught on the ground had there been enough visibility and transparency and somebody was paying close enough attention. And so that's why we're focusing on where we are today, but we do intend to expand much, much further.
Thank you.
I think you mentioned, by the way, great presentation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned you had raised money already. How much have you raised?
We have never actually publicly declared how much we've raised.
Okay. I guess I won't get an answer there.
North of 5 million.
North of 5 million, okay. Talk about the market and the competitive landscape out there.
Absolutely. So in terms of the market size, we estimate it to be about 15 billion today and about 50 billion by the end of this decade. So within the next 4 years, we note a lot of exponential growth in both value of assets on orbit as well as number of assets on orbit. In terms of competition, well, most satellites are currently built on Excel, which is a terrifying fact, but that's unfortunately true. And so, there's legacy incumbents like Excel that are sort of horizontalized, and that's really sort of at the engineering level, but there isn't really anybody interacting on the embedded finance side. How insurance is currently underwritten is, well, I essentially have to print out a 5,000-page report, and I have to send it to the insurance underwriters, and they spend a really, really long time going back and forth with me. So that's our primary competition, manual processes and a lot of Excel.
Did you look at any models out there in the insurance business, like Coalition, for example, and in cyber? Or did you gain any inspiration from any models that do similar data extraction?
No, we did not. Mainly because space is, while we've been insuring spacecraft for the last 60 years, the paradigm has really shifted on the industry side. We've seen a big shift from big satellites to small satellites, and so a lot of things are changing. We don't think there's really a whole lot of precedent out there. We would love to learn more about other models. I'm relatively new to insurance. My only exposure so far prior to this was I had to try and get insurance for a satellite, and it didn't go super well.
One question. Okay. I'm going to sneak in one question to close it out. Sorry.
Yes.
So just kind of stepping back and thinking about the value of this product and what you're driving, is the biggest goal to open up the market, to make it more acceptable or comfortable for more insurers to come to the market, or is it to refine the process and get to better, more accurate, maybe cheaper insurance?
Well, I believe we achieved the first by doing the second, by streamlining the market and driving down underwriting costs, which is currently the biggest contributor to premiums. We can expand the market massively, and that opens up the door to other forms of finance, and ultimately that's what we really want to solve. We want to solve the big money problem in space so that more folks can access space, and we can grow, thrive, and expand for our children.
Okay,
Yeah,
give it up
well
for
done.
Charter.
Thank you.
Let's bring out our next startup. That startup is Glide. Presenting for Glide is founder and CEO Kevin Demoa.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? So we are the future of road-to-rail transportation, and we'll show you why. My name is Kevin Demoa. I'm the founder and CEO of Glide. I've been in logistics for the past 23 years as an engineer, as an innovator, as well as a tactician. I'm retired military, 6 years active duty with the Army, and then I fought fires right here in California for a while. A couple of my notable projects that I've worked on, I founded SpaceX's Flight Module Logistics organization. I'm the first person in the world to commercially ship, launch, recover, and then relaunch a rocket. And before I started Glide, I launched Harley-Davidson's first e-bike, Serial 1. So I've been a part of a lot of innovation, but the industry that I love has gone unchanged. Roads are extremely congested, rail severely underutilized, and the only way that you can transport goods from road to rail is via a process called transloading. Transloading involves a bunch of capital equipment, cranes, forklifts, drayage trucks, trains, train carts, a bunch of people, and a lot of moves, and it costs a lot of money. Traditionally, it takes about 2 to 6 weeks for a fully loaded train to move from point to point, and guess what? They charge you for it. What we have here at Glide is a very elegant solution. 2 vehicles and a software. The top one is called Raiden. Raiden is a fully autonomous vehicle purposely built for contested logistics as well as industrial parks. And the bottom, our commercial workhorse, the Glide RM, capable of picking up a fully loaded 20-foot container and transporting it from road directly onto rail and vice versa. Combining these two together, one move, one vehicle, one person, in order to optimize logistics forever. I want to show you a video on what Raiden is. So Raiden is the first of its kind, purposely built. It can get underneath any road-based trailer, any rail-based cart with little to no modification. We access the rails the same way a traditional high-rail vehicle would access the rails. It's for every single commodity in the world, and we operate as a solo or a pack. We have the only patent in the world for this technology. We actually are equipped with sensor fusion, so we have the ability to do track inspection, debris avoidance. We're on-road, off-road, and we can operate in austere locations, so we're perfect for the military. We operate utilizing sensor fusion. The other side of us, we don't need new infrastructure to be put in place. We actually take a road siding instead of a rail siding. And given them a space extra, we're looking to reindustrialize here on Earth, at Mars, and beyond. Our target markets are the first mile. It is our most crucial mile. We see ourselves as a baton runner. We start with ports, railroads, and industrial parks. The next step is commercial, all the non-cool stuff, lumber, manufacturing, and then we step down to contested logistics and support with border security as well as dual use. Our business model is mobility as a service, so we charge customers $300,000 a year plus a nominal fee per ton mile. Say we ship the container 20 miles down the road, covering 40,000 pounds, we'll only charge $150. What our customers get is complete 100% uptime, 62% of cost elimination, and we're able to save them $12.3 million out of the gate. For us as a business, if we shipped 100,000 containers, which is equivalent to shipping 1.5 days at the Port of Long Beach, that ships about 70,000 TUs per day, that one glider generates $15.3 million in revenue. That means after the first year, we have almost 100% profit margin from year 10 to year 15 outside of OpEx. Our traction to date has been amazing. We have 5 pilots in 5 regions, and we have over $70 million in customer commitments. Next year, we're forecasted to do $6.7 million in revenue, and we've raised to date $6 million. Our team is equipped with some of the best in the world in aerospace, defense, venture, as well as traditional railroaders, and we're backed by Outlander, Slauson & Co., the Veterans Fund, and Tim Draper himself. So the next time you go ship it, don't ship it, just glide it. Join us as we look to reindustrialize it all, but we'll show you exactly how we're going to do this. Let's go to demo. So this is Ezra 1.6. This is our AI orchestrator. It's powered by AI agents in the background, and this is the customer experience. We're able to do this in just 5 clicks. So you walk through the regular experience like you'll do with the traditional freight brokerage. So you'll put in your material loads, and then the next step is you'll start to put in how many pallets you have that you're going to be loaded into your truck. And then finally, you'll have your POCs that you put in. Right? Once you're in this screen, we'll hit next, and then we'll slide over to our vehicle view, and this will be the view of our Raiden. So Raiden is our fully purposed autonomous vehicle, and what he'll do, or she will do, is come out and show you her capabilities. Come on, Raiden. Come on out. So Raiden is purposely built. Raiden, you were able to get underneath any road-based trailer, any rail-based cart, little to no modification. This is perfect for contested logistics as well as doing ISR missions for the military.
I needed to be on this.
Thank you, Raiden. So let's go back to Ezra 1.6. So say we're in an environment where regulations are at hand. What we'll do is go to our glider rim. So right here at TechCrunch, at Battlefield, here in San Francisco, our world premiere, the glider rim. Thank you so much. So the next time you go ship it, don't ship it, just glide it. Thank you.
Judges.
Okay, I'm going to go first this time.
Hello.
Incredible background.
Thank you.
Very cool presentation.
I appreciate it.
I'm learning in real time while you're telling us. Just maybe tell us a little bit about your go-to-market strategy over the next 12 months, 24 months. Who are going to be the key customers you're going to go to? What do you think is going to be top of mind for them as they're thinking about deploying this new technology? And what might a test or a pilot look like?
Absolutely. So we're actually deploying GliderM in just 2 weeks. So GliderM just came off the line, and GliderM comes off the line with both FRA as well as DOT certification. That's all we have to do is hire a CDL driver. The railroad that we've contracted with actually provides them with G-Core certification, so it's a de-risked application. We put the driver in the vehicle, and then they're assigned to either do containerization at an industrial park or any kind of commodities that they want to transport. At this particular industrial park, Kansas Proving Grounds in Parsons, Kansas, they have aggregate. They work with Day and Zimmerman that does munitions, as well as containerization.
So you're selling into the industrial park.
Yeah,
and you had to make partnerships with the railroads to be able to fully put it to
Yeah, so
action.
we don't sell our product. We actually build really cool product for us to operate and then service other folks.
Okay, so you service it.
That's where our magic happens.
Nice.
So we're able to charge our customers $300,000 per year. That covers all of our operational costs, and plus a nominal fee per ton mile, the lowest ton mileage in all the industry. So that we can offset tariffs as well as traditional hikes in demand for logistical costs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So it sounds more like a services business as opposed to more of a tech or software business. You mentioned pilots.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about those, and what does a pilot actually look like? The details of a pilot today, and what's the path to that pilot becoming a commercial contract?
Yes, that's a great question. So a pilot today looks like a regular logistics operation. You hire a driver, and that driver picks up your load and then delivers that load from point to point destination. That's all our pilot is on the commercial side. On the defense side, it's a little different. So from the defense side, we actually have to sell directly because they don't do sustainment contracts that way. So those pilots will be more demonstrative pilots, and then we'll tack on a sustainment contract.
Can you tell me a little bit about the actual vehicles themselves? Like, what are you building yourself? What are you outsourcing? Seems like a very capital-intensive business, so I'd love to hear the breakdown there.
No, of course. In hindsight, it looks capital-intensive, but it's not. So our GliderMs are actually partnered in conjunction with a PACCAR as well as Custom Truck. And every vehicle that we buy with them, they have a lease agreement with them. So it's a 5-year payback period. So we're able to utilizing our mobility as a service, $300,000 and pay off that vehicle in 6 to 8 months. And every vehicle comes off the line with that. Raiden, on the other hand, is funded by us. And Raiden costs about $300,000 a piece to do it. We won't deploy a Raiden out unless we have a military contract to actually cover it. We'll foot the bill for the first pilot. We foot the bill for the first one, and we'll demonstrate that out to folks. If they like it, then they'll buy.
And one of those looked electric and one is gas, or how does that work?
Yeah, so they're both hybrid.
Okay.
So we have a 300 kilowatt hour battery and then a range extender for the military. It's kind of propellant agnostic. They utilize JP8 or kerosene. Some folks use diesel as well, so we can put whatever powertrain that they need on it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
For customers, is most of the ROI labor savings?
So for customers, the ROI is more so the capital as well as labor savings. So in the traditional transload, you have your forklift costs, your crane costs, all of your capital equipment, plus your operational overhead for all your people, and then the actual the demurrage, detention, and all the terminal handling charges that are tacked on to the landed costs.
Got it. Okay. So I guess in terms of your pilots, or when you're trying to sell in, what kind of resistance are you seeing? Some of these ports are unionized. There might be some resistance to some of the change. What resistance do you anticipate, and how do you plan on overcoming it?
That's a great question. So we haven't gotten any resistance. What we've targeted are the short lines, and short lines in the United States are all independently owned, and they're typically within towns. They have maybe a 15 to 33 mile stretch. So we have to get permission from the short lines themselves. We'll write a contract for an MOU, and then they'll essentially sell us their track time, so we get utilization. On the other side of that, we actually will do track inspection for them, so it's a trade of services. And then what we do for them, this is the first time in history you're able to put an LTL, less than truckload shipment, on their rail line. So the name of the game is upping their utilization on their track themselves.
Okay, cool. Do you have any liability?
Yes, so we have liability on our side. So we have, part of the MOU is for us to get liability insurance, since we are a traditional transporter. And then the rail line dictates those terms.
Kevin, I'm glad you spoke about the components of the cost of the traditional way of shipping, but yeah, I'm trying to just understand the economics a bit better of your way. Like, how do you think about, against that revenue you projected for next year, what are like gross margins and the like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the gross margins for us, we're able to pay back the vehicle in the first 6 to 8 months, is given our business model. Just conservatively, one vehicle will do about $3 million in revenue, with our operational costs being slightly underneath $300,000. Yeah. And that includes the driver, as well as any insurances that we pour into that specific truck. The way that we break down our business model is unit basis, essentially the same model that your typical asset-based carriers would carry in order to finance their business.
What does scaling this business look like? Like, how can you bring these trucks online, and what is the time frame there?
No, that's a great question. So the time frame is, how fast can we get these out to our customers with the backlog that we have? What we've allocated is 10 trucks per deployment. And we put in an order with a custom truck with how many trucks that we want to build. They can do 24 to 36 trucks at a time, and we deliver those and hire drivers on, and that's essentially our process.
Okay, let's have one more round of applause for Glide.
Thank you.
Really impressive.
Let's bring out our next startup. That startup is MacroCycle. Presenting for MacroCycle is co-founder and CEO, Stuart Pena-Feliz.
Today, over 99% of all the textiles globally produced end up in our landfills, in our oceans, or it is even incinerated. A linear economy growing to $3 trillion, shedding microplastics, impacting our health, polluting our environment, and we haven't had the technologies to resolve this crisis. A crisis I've experienced within my own lifetime, as the pristine beaches where I used to play as a kid in the Dominican Republic are now riddled with trash and textile waste washing upon the beach wave after wave. If a brand wants to acquire recycled polyester textile material today, they need to source it from bottles, because the technologies of mechanical recycling cannot deal with the complexity of the garments that we wear, leaving disposal as the main viable solution at the end of life. The technologies that have been developed to address this quality challenge, advanced recycling, are then too energy intensive. They rely on breaking the polymers of the textiles down to the building blocks, and then having to undergo all the traditional petrochemical steps to arrive back to the original polymer. This means that the brands need to pay a green premium to adopt these solutions, inhibiting its adoption because of high costs. MacroCycle can resolve both of these challenges thanks to our creative approach. Instead of breaking bonds, we are making new ones. Through our patented Solvogenesis process platform, we're able to retain all the energy that went into making the original polymer. And instead of breaking the bonds, we instead force it to bond with itself to create a new intermediate called MacroCycles. These intermediates allow us to bypass the petrochemical industry entirely and produce a high-quality product at a fraction of the cost. This is how our process works. MacroCycle will acquire polyester-containing textile waste from collectors. And whether they're multi-fiber, multicolor, or multi-material, like the shirt or the pants that I'm wearing right now, we can undergo our proprietary set of solvents and operating conditions to remove the non-polyester impurities, the color, and the dyes, and undergo our chemistry to improve its quality to produce our product. The MacroCycle polyester resin, a high-quality drop-in solution that has given me the privilege on this stage to present to you the world's first macro yarn. The solution the textile industry has been looking for, as you can make yarn and garments out of 100% post-consumer textile waste to enable true circularity. And now to see how this works, we're going live out of Cambridge, Massachusetts, where we're going to dive in deeper into the decolorization process of our textile recycling technology. Here, you can see a beaker with heavily colorized textile dyes. And what we do is that we can place these textile dyes in our solvent systems. Once they're placed in our solvent systems, you can see how quickly the color starts blending in with the solvent as it starts extracting the material from the textiles. From here, we can then simply put it through a rinse and wash process where you're going to see how the solvent is coming out with all the colors from the textiles while the material stays behind. It is that simple. We repeat this process a few times, and we can produce the shiny, clear, white polyester textile material that the industry has been looking for. Thank you, team, for the demo, and with that, we'll switch back over to our slides. You all saw how simple that was. That simplicity has enabled us to be the first chemical recycler to be able to claim that this material can be provided at price parity with the petrochemical industry to enable mass adoption of this material. And this is only the beginning. We only incorporated 2 years ago. But since then, we have been able to scale up 1,500 times all the way to an industrial scale demo plant thanks to our unfair advantage. We are a chemistry-only innovation, not an equipment innovation. What that means is that we can leverage the existing infrastructure through contract manufacturing to produce larger batches of our product without ever having to put capital or steel on the ground. This is enabling us to move at rapid speed, as represented by the fact that we're already generating $350,000 in ARR from material sales and recycling services, with customers in fast fashion, footwear, and other verticals across the industry. And this is the momentum that we'll continue to use, as by the end of the decade, we aim to have the capacity to recycle half of San Francisco yearly textile waste. That may not sound like much, but it already represents tens of millions of dollars in revenue and several billions of dollars in public market comparable value. And this is what we'll continue to do as we build additional plants and license our technology to address this global crisis in textiles beyond just polyester. My name is Stuart Peña Feliz, and I used to work at ExxonMobil's first recycling facility. After meeting my co-founder and the innovator of this technology at MIT, we have been able to onboard a diverse powerhouse of a team and a set of investors and advisors that have been through this journey many times before, including those from the largest polyester textile producers in the world, giving us the confidence we have what it takes to get this venture off the ground. We have been incredibly lucky to be supported by numerous great organizations, but we're still going to need more help. If you can help us scale up our differentiated technology, or are an investor interested in our future Series A financing opportunities, let's connect. Textile is the fabric of our expressions. Let's make sure that the choices that we wear today are the resources of tomorrow and not the pollution of the past. And together, MacroCycle can create that cleaner, more circular future for everyone today.
So good.
Judges.
Yeah, dude, I love your passion. That was terrific.
Yeah.
2 quick questions. Material cost parity. Are you there? Does it cost you, and can you sell the material at on parity with what they would buy it for today? And the other question is, who is your customer in the supply chain? Is it the mill? Is it the actual brand themselves, or
Phenomenal question. Well, let me answer that while you guys get to feel our textile. It's been touched too many times, but you can see how smooth it feels. So, to the first question is, we are not at price parity today, and that's simply because of the scale that we're operating at. Right now, the only thing that's required for us to be able to reach price parity is to be able to set up the CapEx or the equipment to recover our solvent and purchase solvent at a large amount. When you're purchasing in small amounts, it becomes quite expensive, but once we're able to purchase a solvent in the amounts of industrial scale, our cost significantly comes down on top of our solvent recovery. So we see with our first industrial facility, we'll be able to achieve price parity, and with our second facility, once we go to a larger scale, there's a pathway to be able to provide a green discount. For the second question, There is a very interesting supply chain, but the reality is the economic buyers of our products are the brands. The brands are the ones that drive the flow of money, and the brands dictate to the spinners and millers what material they get to use for their textile clothing. But the end user of our products are those mills. So we will be physically providing our product to the mills, and the transaction technically goes to the mills, but it all carries over to the brands. So let's say we want to charge a higher pricing because we see a high demand for a product. The brands are the ones at the end responsible to it, and that's basically how the supply chain works. Right now, we have excellent conversation with fast fashion companies and footwear, as you may have seen earlier, and they're all very excited over our solution because there's no one else out there claiming price parity with a drop-in solution.
I think you mentioned that there was 350K in ARR. Who is that particular customer? Like, who is?
Yeah, so those customers are the fast fashion companies.
Okay.
So when you think about it as to why they care so much, why are they paying us, it's because when you think of textile clothing in the landfills, they can clearly see the brands that are responsible for it. So they're the ones most heavily impacted by this solution. Now, the reality is that from our customer research, talking to dozens and dozens of customers, they want it, they won't pay for it. But what happens whenever you lower the cost barrier, where they can adopt it at price parity and receive all the benefits? Mass adoption of the material. So there's a customer that we're actually negotiating with right now, where next year they're in line to pay us hundreds of thousands of dollars for a paid trial. And the main reason why we haven't signed that yet is just because we don't have the capacity of production to produce how much they want for the first trials.
And then on the purchase side, or the obtaining the raw materials, the textiles, where do you source it?
Phenomenal question. I'll give you a good example that everyone knows here. The textile infrastructure has actually been well developed because of the resale market, Goodwill. What happens to all the clothes that they cannot resell on the shelves? Currently, they're either being disposed of or they're being shipped to the global south. What happens if we can intercept all the supply chain and provide economic value and valorizing that waste? So that's one example. There are many other different types of collectors. There's also post-industrial waste, because when you cut garments, there's extra parts that are being left around that are currently being incinerated. So right now, in the US alone, we see over 15 million tons of textile waste that we can intercept. Even one of them is 1% of that total amount is more than plenty for our first industrial facility.
And last question is the solvent, would you say that is what's proprietary, or is it the whole solution that is?
Great question. It's the combination of the solvents and the operating conditions. Our solvent is very selective towards the polyester, and the operating conditions allows us to increase the selectivity to remove all the impurities like elastane, acrylics, cotton, buttons, and zippers, and so on. Thank you.
You wanna go?
What is the end of life for a product made out of your product?
It's the same. It's a drop-in solution.
You can go
It is
back
identical. So I will not claim we can infinitely recycle because you always have yield losses.
Yeah.
But for what that one equivalent molecule, it can be infinitely recycled through our technology.
What does your waste look like?
So our waste, we do have a little bit of solvent that has to come out through our system, and the solvent tends to carry all the contaminants that may have come through the initial feedstock. So if we do have trash coming in, we will have trash coming out, like organic waste or dirt and so on. But for the things that can be valorized, like the dyes, for example, we can actually concentrate those dyes to be able to provide them back to the industry. So anything that has value, we can circularize. Anything that comes in as truly waste, there's only so much we can do.
Is that product that we were just touching a finished product?
Yeah, that's a yarn out of 100% post-consumer textile waste. We started with a multi-blend material. We extracted the impurities, and we're able to upcycle the polyester and remove the color, and then spin it into the yarn.
As you think about kind of building this out, are there other form factors or other durabilities of the fiber that you could introduce?
A lot, yes. So the product that we'll be providing is pellets. Pellets is the form factor that the industry uses. And from there, it can actually be spun into many different applications: fiber, filament, yarns, cross. We can go on for a while, and that depends on the customers. What is it that they want their final application to? We've received all the spec sheets from our customers, and we're validating through those trials that we can meet the specs for all their different applications.
I have two questions. One is, you mentioned you need to get to scale to be at price parity. What's that scale? Like, what's the volume or the revenue that you need to be at? And then on the demand side, if you had a dream list of customers that would validate your product, what's your dream customer? What's the dream item that they're making that you would market and say, like, this is the future, this is where the world is going?
Phenomenal question. So to the first question, our first facility that will allow us to reach price parity is a 10,000 tons per year facility that is estimated to cost around $35 million in capital expenditures.
Okay.
To give you context, our competitors like Eastman Chemicals, one of our largest competitors, they're building a 100,000 tons per year facility for $1 billion, and they're still not claiming price parity because of the complexity of their technology. That's just to put things in context of like, yeah, we still will need capital, but it's relatively much lower compared to our competitors. As for the customers, I'm going to give you a cheating answer of we're talking to them right now, our dream customers right now. We are in conversations with them. But right now, I'll put it this way. There are several customers where they have products that are called like their Patagonia products. Think of like the high end of that company where they have like that nice, whether outerwear or jacket and so on. And actually our goal is to be able to make team blazers for the company made out of first product that we can pass down to our team to say, look, we did it together. We are creating the truly circular economy. Let's keep going. With that, I wanted to say thank you all for the time. Truly appreciate it.
Okay, give it up for MacroCycle. We have 2 more startups competing in the finals. The next startup is Nephrogen. Presenting for Nephrogen is co-founder and CEO, Dmitry Maxim.
I'm Dmitry, the founder and CEO of Nephrogen. And we're using AI and high-throughput screening to develop safer, more efficient gene delivery vehicles to cure diseases that are currently untreatable. Gene therapy or gene editing are completely new categories of medicine that have already cured several patients. Gene editing in particular won the Nobel Prize just 5 years ago. In a lot of ways, we're currently living the gene therapy revolution. But even though there are hundreds of gene therapies currently in clinical testing, and several have already been used to cure patients, there are 0 that target the kidney. There's really 2 reasons for this. One, the kidney has 15 different cell types that are all organized in this really intricate manner. And importantly, 15 is the most of any organ in the body. And 2, the kidney by nature is a filtering organ. It's designed to keep most things out based on size and charge, including existing FDA-approved delivery vehicles. Why does this matter? Why should we care? It really gets down to the problem that if kidney is just impossible to deliver to, right? And more importantly, if we can deliver to the kidney, we can possibly deliver these curative medicines anywhere. And that's what I've spent my whole career working on. My family's had kidney disease for 4 generations, and I started working on this kidney delivery problem when I was 14 years old in George Church's lab at Harvard Medical School, and continued as both an undergraduate and graduate student at Stanford University. Kidney disease also affects a huge number of people. It's about 10% of the total global population has some form of kidney disease, and approximately 100,000 people in the US die each year from kidney-related causes. The US government, or Medicare, also spends $86 billion to treat kidney disease annually. A lot of you may have kidney disease, you might be part of this 10%, or you might have family members who have suffered from it and seen how horrible of a disease it is at its source. But I bet a lot of you haven't seen a real-life kidney before. So for our demo, which we'll switch to now, I'm going to show you some. So on the top, we have a patient with polycystic kidney disease. They've undergone cyst formation, which crowds out the healthy tissue that leads to fibrosis, scarring, and cell death. Unfortunately, this patient passed away. This smaller one down here is a healthy kidney that's probably similar to what most of us have in our bodies here in the room. What if I told you that there was a way to turn this kidney into this one, reverse that patient's disease, and potentially save their life? Well, it turns out there is. I'll spoil that, but I'm going to go back to the slides to continue the story. So since 2021, based on a Nature Genetics publication in mice from Yale University, we now know that kidney disease is reversible, specifically this patient's kidney disease. The problem is, like I mentioned earlier, without a way to deliver this potentially curative therapy to the kidney, a cure will never functionally be realized. And that's where my company, Nephrogen, comes in. We've developed 2 key technologies to solve the kidney delivery problem and to make curative therapy a reality. The reason why we need delivery vehicles, or which are our NeoCap system, is because gene therapy, if you just inject it into the bloodstream, it just rapidly disintegrates. So you need like a delivery vector, which you can think of it like a fancy FedEx truck for getting to the disease cells in the body. And the way we find these FedEx trucks that are specific for kidney is using both high throughput screening in a laboratory and now AI, like probably a lot of companies in this room. On the experimental side, you can think of it as like we take an existing FDA-approved vector that doesn't reach the kidney at all, and we create billions and billions of variants of this vector. And then if each of those is a dart, our screening process is throwing those darts at a dartboard to try and hit the bullseye, which is the kidney. The difference is that we can throw 10 million more darts than our competitors due to innovations that our team has made in the experimental screening process. And then when you add an AI, you can drastically reduce the number of darts that you even need to throw to find that needle in a haystack vector that can target the kidney cells. Using our lead vectors in our NeoCap portfolio, we've shown delivery in mice, and for the first time ever this week at TechCrunch, which we unveiled on Monday, in human kidney tissue. So this is in a human kidney that's been kept alive outside of the body through a pumping mechanism to show transduction in a human system. All these results are currently going through peer review, which is the standard scientific process for publication in a major journal. But we wanted to release the preprint to you today so that you could have a chance to read our work before it comes out in an official journal. We have a 2-tier business model at Nephrogen. Our initial focus is to license the delivery vehicles for getting to kidney and possibly other organs to pharmaceutical companies. We've already closed sponsorship funding from 6 major pharma companies, totaling over $600,000 in value, including from Merck CGAA and Bristol Myers Squibb. And although our short-term goal is to license the delivery vectors to enable pharma companies to make these curative medicines, our longer-term goal is to make our own therapies ourselves to cure kidney disease and other deadly diseases around the body. I want to wrap up by just acknowledging my team of field leaders in kidney disease and gene therapy from Stanford and Harvard Medical School, including my co-founder Vivek Bala, who's a kidney doctor from Stanford, and also my chief business officer Chang Hong, who's a serial entrepreneur and has had several exits in the biotech space. We're raising our seed round with our existing syndicate of investors, looking for more to add to that, and we'll be happy to share more at our booth or during the Q&A. Thank you.
Judges.
I have so many questions. I'm curious. You mentioned gene editing up front, and then later delivery mechanisms. I don't understand how those two are related. How are they related with your company?
So the gene editor is what's delivered inside of the delivery system. So that's like the FedEx truck is the delivery, and then what you put inside the truck is the gene editing.
Okay. So what are you putting inside of the truck?
CRISPR-Cas gene therapy.
And is there any? How many genes are you going after? Because if you're going after too many genes, you're
so you can either license just the delivery vector to a pharma who would then basically themselves take the product forward.
I see. So that's not you.
Yes, but we also we filed like 6 or 7 patents on our own internal gene editors and the approaches that we use for specific kidney diseases. So like polycystic kidney disease, which is a disease I showed on the stage, that's our lead indication. And our kind of go-to-market for our own therapies in the future is to go after genetically defined ones that have really high unmet need, and then to expand to like all kidney disease, like a universal chronic kidney disease gene therapy in the future.
Gotcha, understood. Okay.
So you have 2 innovations. One is the actual gene editor for that use case, for that illness, and then it's the pod that delivers it, the delivery mechanism that can be used for other things.
Exactly. And you can either use your own, package your own, editor, or you can license it to a pharma and they can use their own editor.
Okay.
Can you touch on just the timeline of FDA trials and when you'll be in market?
Yeah, so I think that's why we've chosen this business model, is because these licensing deals, like even though right now we're just doing paid pilots in tech speak, really, you know, the licensing deals can be 25 to 50 million upfront. I mean, there's some that are 100, right? And so they generate revenue for the company and don't rely on us to have FDA-approved drugs to generate revenue. And there's also a royalty on the back end. So if the pharma company gets the drug approved, then we get a 10% or single-digit royalty, you know, on the back end. So it allows us a faster go-to-market strategy for the technology, and it also expands the number of shots on goal. So we have like the pharma companies trying to make drugs, and then we also make our own using the funding that they've given us. So we don't dilute as much, don't have to raise quite as much capital as like a traditional biotech would.
Great.
Is there an approval process for the medical device portion of what you're doing, the delivery system?
Yeah, so it's actually just a chemical composition. We use FDA approved to actually administer the therapies. It's all the devices are all FDA approved. So it's really just the vector chemical composition. You give a license to a pharma to then use that sequence. They're allowed to use it for X diseases, and you negotiate the rights and the milestone payments they'll pay you when they get to phase 1, phase 2, and then the royalties. Obviously, more upfront would be less on the back end is the idea.
Yeah, I don't know very much about delivery vectors, so I apologize if this is a dumb question, but like how predictable is it that the vector, once you've discovered it, is going to work on a specific population? And how do you test it so that you, like, and how does a pharma company know how much it's worth to them to pay you for the vector?
Yeah, so the key value inflections for like validating a delivery system is like we take a vector, we test it in a mouse, we show the data that I showed in mouse, then you do it in a monkey, and then you do it in humans, right? So until you do those three things, like pharma could license it earlier, and there's different pharmas that license at different phases, so we're in constant talks with all of them, but really like it comes down to you have to validate in a large animal. That's another inflection point past the mouse. Okay. And so that's why the data we unveiled this week is, to our knowledge, the first time that they've done human validation, like in an ex vivo pumping system, like I showed on the screen. And so again, it's going through peer review, but the idea is that, you know, we've now validated not just in the monkey, but we've taken a step further to kind of further interest them, and now we're kind of rapidly moving through those licensing conversations.
Can I add to that just one bit about the cargo? So the cargo is also meant to be valid for anyone with a particular indication. So it's not like one needs to get a separate approval for a particular family or particular patient with a variant in their sequence. So for one disease, we would have one cargo.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'm curious, why is the kidney not processing this? Like, how are you able to get through?
So it's a great question. We've done some work in the paper that we put out to explain, like, you know, the mechanism of the different receptors that we're increasing or downregulating to get in. So we have some understanding of the mechanism, but to be honest, it is sort of a brute force approach where you test billions and billions of variants. You have this really good screening process. You know, my co-founder Vik has large data sets from patients with disease to understand like the single cell data of like which cell types to target. And so you base a lot of the initial screening on that to know the receptors, but at the end of the day, you're just finding ones that work, and then you advance them forward. Right. From there.
So this is just you're happy that it's getting into the kidney, but this could cross the BBB, it could go anywhere.
So when we do the screening, we also take tissues from every other, we take samples from every other tissue, and then like the way the AI works is it like weights all of those individually. So if it is really high in the brain and the kidney, like obviously that's bad. So like it's kind of like a shopping list. If a pharma company says we want these really good kidney, some liver, because like polycystic liver disease is a thing, then they can kind of come to us and then we can say, okay, this is the price for this one, or this is the licensing structure we'd follow.
Cool.
Any final questions? All right, then, let's have one more round of applause for Nephrogen.
Very done.
Okay, we have one last startup battlefield company, so let's bring them out. That company is Unlisted. Presenting for Unlisted is founder and CEO Katie Hill.
Hello, TechCrunch Disrupt. My name is Katie Hill, founder and CEO of Unlisted, a revolutionary new real estate technology company helping buyers and sellers unlock the 98% of homes that aren't for sale yet. Unlisted was born when I mentioned to my neighbor that if he was ever interested in selling his house, I was interested in buying it. He wasn't ready to move yet, but he was thinking about his retirement and was thrilled to know that someone was interested in his home. We chatted a bit further and agreed that I would have a right of first refusal whenever he was ready. Neither of us was in the market to buy or sell, but there we were, having a meaningful conversation about a future transaction. This got me thinking. Traditionally, real estate is treated as if it's black or white. A home is either for sale or not for sale. And each year, only about 2% of homes list for sale. The current real estate platforms focus on this tiny sliver, leaving buyers to refresh their Redfin feeds like slot machines, hoping to get lucky and have something good pop up so they can rush over and make the biggest financial decision of their lives. No wonder Zillow found that 65% of Americans cry when buying a home. But as my neighbor and I demonstrated, real estate is not black and white. There are shades of gray where almost 2/3 of homeowners sit between, I would sell today, I just haven't gotten around to cleaning out my attic, to I know I'm going to sell next spring when my youngest graduates from high school, to I'm always for sale for the right price. It's a $31 trillion market opportunity that Unlisted is designed to capture. Let's go to the demo. The Unlisted platform has every home in America. We created a beautiful profile for 121 million properties using AI, Google, and public record data. Supply side, done. When buyers can't find what they're looking for in the 2% that are currently listed on the other sites, they can come to Unlisted and see the entire market. Not only can buyers search every home in the US, they can join a wait list for homes they love that aren't for sale yet, meaning buyers get to make the first move, proactively getting in line for their favorite homes. When buyers join wait lists, they indicate what they like about the home and their timeline to move, giving homeowners all new insight into the marketability of their property. Homeowners can take control of their property profile, meaning they can have full control over how their home appears online. They can edit property data, add photos, and soon track home maintenance. It's the digital equivalent of curb appeal, allowing homeowners to perpetually collect interest in their most important asset. Our vision is that these property profiles become digital assets that sit next to the physical asset, allowing, and then they can be passed from homeowner to homeowner, creating an incredible history of record for the home. Let's see, where am I going from there? We'll go back to the slides to look at the Unlisted business model. And what I was going to say is real estate, as you can imagine, is interested in what we're doing because when homeowners can also provide their timelines to move, which means that we're able to then match buyers' timelines with homeowner timelines so that we're starting to set up future-looking transactions, which is where then our revenue model comes in. So we've created a product that allows realtors to take a look at the activity that's happening in our system, as well as advertise to local audiences. Not only do they generate revenue for us, which we're on track to book $1 million worth of contracts by the end of the year, but they also invite their clients, homeowners and buyers, to the platform, which means Unlisted gets paid to acquire users. And it's working. My slides have been updated since yesterday because the TechCrunch effect is in full force. Over 1.42 million property profiles have been viewed. Homeowners have updated their property profiles to the tune of $1.2 billion, and $8 billion worth of homes have been waitlisted just since June. All of this user activity generates valuable data. One example that you saw earlier in the demo is that homeowners can add their timelines to move, meaning that we can share this data with all kinds of advertisers who are interested in reaching these specific audiences. From Home Depot, who wants to reach homeowners who are going to be in their homes for the next 20 years, to Northwestern Mutual, who wants to reach homeowners who don't have a plan for their properties, to Rocket Mortgage, who knows that buyers will be ready in a couple years, to Sotheby's, who wants to talk to homeowners who are ready to sell soon. This is just one data point. We have thousands of data points, and that's why we see ourselves as a data company, not a real estate company, as our data continues to increase in value daily. All of this brings our flywheel full circle back to revenue. It's important to mention that Unlisted is not a brokerage and does not collect commissions or referral fees. We want to be with the homeowner the whole time that they're in their home, not just when they're ready to transact. Our vision is to be this ongoing resource that allows us to set ourselves apart from all of the crowded space in real estate. It's a mission that our team believes in passionately. And speaking of the team, I'm a 2-time VC-backed founder and Chicago Booth MBA. Sam is a software engineer leader with more than 20 years worth of experience. We have an incredible team, some of which are with us today, the rest of which are watching on the live stream. Thanks to them that we're here today.
Wrap it up.
We've raised $3 million worth of funding from Hearst Lab and are supported by incredible advisors from tech, media, and real estate. Real estate is ripe for disruption. There's a ton of shakeups going on right now, and we're here to be part of it. Everybody download the app. It's live now. Thank you.
Judges.
I've been waiting for I guess 5 companies now before I saw the 4 quadrants. So thanks for putting that.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
So 2-sided marketplace essentially, right? I get one side, which is the potential buyer, right? You're out, you're looking. So yes, you're gonna sign up. I get that you're sourcing all your data. It's automated. You're using online tools, etc. How do you get the disinterested seller to actually participate and engage? And I saw you put up a number on the line chart about how many sellers or the value of the homes on the platform, but how many actual sellers, how many homes is on the platform, and how is that number growing?
Great question. So to answer the last question, so it's about 1,400 homes, valued at about $1.2 billion. Our product does tend to skew a little bit luxury because there's this element of privacy that folks like. In terms of how we get the sellers onto the platform, so when a buyer joins a wait list, we do outreach to the homeowner, letting them know that they have a wait list for their home. If they're already on the platform, that goes via email. If they're not on the platform, then we use direct mail. We actually work with a wedding invitation company that we've repurposed for this notification. So it's really elegant, feels legit, it's heavy. And historically, we've had a 10% response rate on those mailers, which is like pretty above the average. So,
thanks.
So does it need to start with a buyer taking an action, or stepping back? Are you scraping data in maybe a neighborhood to kind of pre-populate a map, and then I can go in and say, oh, these are the 5 houses I'm interested in, and you can go off from that direction?
That's exactly right. So
Okay.
we actually purchased the data from a real estate data company.
Okay.
It's all the county assessor data currently, that then we've sort of augmented to make it look pretty and look good. And yeah, we populated the entire, like the whole neighborhood. Your home is probably on there.
Okay.
And then the idea is that the buyers can see everything and then take an action on the ones that they want to. And in the meantime, though, if you're a homeowner and you want to just come to the platform and grab control of your property profile, you can do that as well.
And can taking control of it can mean editing it? Can it take it offline too?
Yeah, you can request to remove it. What I've found is that when we get those requests, if I mention to them, you can take full control. You can, mention that you're in your forever home. If you're in your forever home, our algorithm does demote you in the results that we're showing to buyers. And we have yet to have anyone actually pursue the full removal. Yeah. I think it's just like when they know they can do something about it, that's really what they're looking for.
Where does the pricing come from?
Where does
the pricing?
For real estate agents?
Well, the suggested pricing for a home.
You're
saying the values of the
home. We purchased that as well right now.
Okay.
It's an AVM estimate that's provided by the same data provider. Eventually, we do hope to have our own estimates on there that would account for how big a wait list is for a property, but that'll be a little bit further in the future.
Also, after claiming your home, you have full control. You can put
Change
what
it.
you think your house is worth. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about how you view this playing out? Like, will you focus on people claiming their homes and building kind of fan bases for houses and then monetize later? When you think about monetization, how do you think that's going to develop over time, and how do you think you're going to build a venture scalable business?
So I think that in terms of the value of the data, I'm just the one data point of when people are going to move is incredibly valuable. If I remember correctly, the current pipeline that we have represents like $36 million worth of commissions alone. So that's just the real estate side. But then eventually, when we have enough traction on the site, the idea that all those different home-related companies, anybody who wants to reach households, will be in a position to advertise through us. Or also at the aggregate, like we'll be able to see that a certain percentage of the population is planning on moving from out of a neighborhood in the next 3 years. Like that might be information the school district wants to know or the city wants to know. So that's our vision.
I'm curious, when I think about new startups entering a space where there's already big incumbents playing here, some of these things like make me move functionality I've seen before. The waitlist is really cool. How do you think about this in terms of being a standalone product versus just some nice features for a bigger site?
Yeah, great question. So a couple things with that, like with a Zillow or a Redfin or a Homes. First of all, they're all using MLS data, and we're purposely avoiding that because those data licenses are fairly restrictive. Actually kind of prevent them from doing what we're doing right now because they can't blend the data sets in a free way based on those data licenses. The other thing is that that space is so competitive. Those Homes.com, Realtor, Zillow, we believe if one of them moved into that space that we would become a prime acquisition target.
Why did the Make Me Move feature that we saw, why did that not work?
So I actually had a chance to meet Rich Barton about, 2 months ago, and we chatted briefly, and the numbers were just kind of wacky. People put these crazy numbers in there that there wasn't really much you could do with it anyways, so they just kind of went nuts, and then it became this not very meaningful data point, so they just took it down. Our hope is that that there's a level of seriousness then that's communicated with that number. So if you put a crazy number on there, the odds that your wait list is going to increase would not be as good. So, and the idea is that in time, the wait list will become a valuable data point for the home. A home with a bigger wait list will be worth more than a home without a wait list. And so there's an incentive there to behave.
Final quick question. All right, give it up for Unlisted. Okay, that concludes the Startup Battlefield Finals. The judges are going to follow me backstage, and they're going to pick a winner. That winner will be announced right here at the end of the day, so make sure you're here for that. Before we do that, please give it up one more time for our founders and our incredible judges.